All right, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand. Just make sure you keep your voice up so that the jurors can hear and the court reporter can hear.
Okay.
If you could state your name for the record and spell your last name, please.
Andrew Isaac Gomez, Gomez.
All right, state.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Gomez, one, I see from your uniform, who do you work for?
San Antonio Police Department.
And how long have you worked for San Antonio Police Department?
About 2.5 years now.
And you went through some certain training, certification. Are you a Texas peace officer or certified peace officer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm gonna jump to the point of why you're here today. March 31st, 2022. Do you remember that date?
Yes, sir.
And I know that, well, one, were you dispatched to a scene?
Yes, I was dispatched.
And were you dispatched to a scene of a shooting?
Yes.
And you remember where that was located at?
It was at the East Meadow Apartments.
And where is that located here in San Antonio, just roughly?
It's off on the east side of town.
And is it within Bexar County, Texas?
Yes.
And did you write a report that day about the events that unfolded?
Yes, I wrote a supplement report.
Show you this piece of paper. Can you tell me, just review it and can you ID it for me?
Yes, this is the supplement report that I wrote for this.
And please just don't read directly from it, but if you need to refresh your memory at any time, you can review it and then answer the question without reading directly from it, okay?
Okay.
So tell the jury, what happened when you arrived at the scene?
When I arrived, I observed a male on the ground who was injured and bleeding, and I provided first aid.
And what was the name of that male?
That male was Avante Boyce.
And was he able to, well, one, did you speak to him?
I attempted to.
And did he respond?
No, he did not.
Did he not respond, I guess, because he didn't want to respond or that he could not respond?
I don't think he could respond.
Did he ever, was he conscious when you were talking or when you tried to speak to him?
No.
Was he making any noises?
Trying to breathe, if
Okay.
anything.
I'm sorry.
If anything, he was trying to breathe.
And I think you stated just previously that you attempted some first aid.
Yes, sir.
And what did you try to do?
Observe his wounds to see if I can treat them, hold pressure.
And where was that wound? Do you recall where the wound was at?
Recall it was on his left hip area or his left buttocks.
And do you remember how many wounds that you observed?
I observed 2.
And were there any other officers at the scene with you?
Yes.
And was there anybody else that you spoke to at the scene, as in non-officers, like witnesses or anything like that?
I did speak to witnesses, yes.
And is it your responsibility to, I guess,
Okay,
interview
just
these
one, I'm
individuals?
sorry, counsel, just 1 second. Could you make sure you speak up
Oh,
so
yes.
that everyone can hear, because the attorneys need to hear as well.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Sorry. I guess it's fair to say that you're an officer, you're not a detective. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And is it your responsibility to interview witnesses and write that into your report, or what's your responsibilities when you're at this scene?
Mostly to identify the witnesses and get a statement from them about what happened.
And would you pass that information off to somebody?
Yes,
And who would you pass that off to?
to the handling officer.
And do you recall the officer that was handling this case?
Yes,
And who was that?
Officer Valadez.
And I'm going to show you what's marked State Exhibit number 1. Do you know, one, what that is?
Yes,
And what is that?
that's my body cam footage.
And is it a fair and accurate depiction of what you, in a sense, did that day?
Yes,
Although it has been redacted as in it's muted, it doesn't have any sound. Is that correct?
Yes,
Your Honor, the state would move to interstate exhibit number one with this redactions. Consider the defense.
Your Honor, just so we can clarify for the record, this is muted. There's no audio.
Right.
Your Honor, we have no objections that as it is, assuming it is muted.
All right, state's exhibit number one is admitted without objection.
That's fine.
And Judge, just for the record, I spoke to defense. State exhibit number one, we have copied it to our hard drive, the exact copy with the mute, and we're gonna play it from that hard drive.
The defense is not an objection, Judge. It's an exact copy of the file. It's just a different media that we're playing it from.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, ladies, just one second. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna have you all step outside for a moment to the jurors. All right, everyone, please rise. Step out. Just one moment, please. All right, everyone, please be seated. Mr. Dixon. Mr. Dixon. All right, so there's not to be outbursts in the courtroom. You understand? I understand that this is an emotional time, probably for you, most definitely for all the family members who are involved. There is not to be an outburst in this courtroom. Do you understand? All right. Do you all wish to speak to your client?
Yeah.
Defense?
Just
you
a
want to
minute,
speak
Your
to
Honor.
your client?
Of course. You're right, bud.
So anyone, you're only allowed to speak to attorneys for the state or the defense.
I'll stay here if that's okay.
Okay, sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the jury, you are to disregard the outburst that was made by Mr. Dixon. He's not under oath. You are not to consider any statements that he made. Those statements made by him are to be disregarded in their entirety. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
All right. So the testimony is testimony that comes from the witness stand when persons are sworn in. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
All right, State, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer, let me just retrace, just make sure that I'm reiterate, or not reiterate, just make sure and make clear. Was, there's some dates listed on this body cam, is that correct?
Yes,
And what is that date?
March 31st, 2022.
And I know there's a time on there. What, you know what time that's called on there?
1600s, 4 p.m.
Okay, around, it says 16:02, is that right?
That's correct.
And that's considered 4:02?
Yes,
Okay. And I see an individual on this body cam that's up on the screen in front of you. Looks like he's wearing a camouflage jacket, is that correct?
yes,
And is this the individual that you testified earlier to, Devontae Boyce?
yes,
And is this an individual that you saw laying there and you observed the gunshot wounds to his lower extremities?
yes,
And is this the individual that you administered some first aid to?
yes.
We'll go ahead and start playing the video again, or your body cam. In this location, it looks like there's a couple doors and it looks like it's in some type of, I guess, hallway or something. Can you describe to the jury what we're looking at here for the location?
This is an apartment complex, one of the buildings of an apartment complex, and this is the interior hallway to the apartment doors themselves.
So the way you found Avante Boyce, he never responded to you by speaking to you at all.
Objection asked and answered.
That'll be overruled.
You can answer.
Correct.
Now, officer, I stopped the body worn cam and I failed to say earlier, but it stopped at 16:03 and 43 seconds. After this, what happened to Avante Boyce? Where did he go?
He was transported by EMS
And what were your responsibilities at the scene then?
to canvass for witnesses and secure the scene.
And I think you testified earlier that you did speak with some witnesses at the scene, is that right?
Yes,
And did you said you canvassed the scene, where did you go during that time?
we went to neighboring buildings or apartment complexes.
Did you ever go to the, did you ever go to the office area of the apartment complex?
Yes,
And what were you doing there?
we were observing the security footage of the complex parking lot.
And this security footage, is it video form?
Yes,
And where were you observing that on?
I don't recall. I think it might have been on a phone.
Okay. And who was letting you observe that?
The office manager,
Did you speak with anybody else there?
yes,
And not again, but I'll tell you this, I can't ask you, or I'm not listening what they said to you, but just that you spoke to different individuals, okay? But you spoke to those individuals, you looked at the security video. Then what was your responsibilities?
again, secure the crime scene and wait until detectives arrived.
And we'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Defense.
Good morning, Officer Gomez. How are you doing today?
Good.
Thank you. My name's Adam LaHood. I'm a defense attorney. I have a few questions for you, okay?
Okay.
If I ever ask something that doesn't make sense or go too quick, just let me know and I can rephrase for you. Were you the first officer that responded to the scene on March 31st?
Yes,
And on this video, it appears that it's in well, we're talking about this. Is this like the stairwell or entry well to an apartment, or what is it exactly?
yes, it's a hallway into an apartment building.
So closed door, then inside there's doors that lead to other apartments, like a hallway, I guess.
Correct.
You said that was the East Meadow apartment complex.
I believe it is, yes.
The person that was on the ground that we see in the video, he never talked to you,
Correct.
never made any kind of oral statements or anything to you. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did you witness the shooting that day?
I did not.
And you said that after that, you were there mostly to identify potential witnesses. I think you said canvass the area. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did you write another report or just a supplement that you have in front of you?
Just this supplement.
No other report was written?
Correct.
All right. I believe you said that you handed it off to Officer Valdez. Is that a detective or a police officer?
He's a police officer, patrolman.
And why did you hand off the scene to Officer Valdez?
He would be the handling officer.
Just one second. Thank you, officer. That's all I have. We'll pass witness.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state or the defense. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, is this witness going to be excused or subject for recall?
The defense has no need for him to be on recall, Judge.
State you.
All right, thank you. You're excused.